All right, hello everyone. It's been a while since I've done one of these channel update videos, so I wanted to go ahead and put one of these out there, give you guys sort of a idea of what the channel's growth has looked like over the past about, I'd say, 4 to 5 months, as well as give you some updates of some stuff coming up, some stuff that I've been working on, and why there haven't been as many videos lately. The good news is that I do have some interesting stuff coming. However, I have a couple of things that I need to plan out a little bit further um, in order to get some more content ready to be able to be posted. So anyway, before I go into that, I wanted to go over some of the analytics real quick because I haven't run through these in quite a while, and there have been quite a lot of differences from the last time I looked at this. So one thing that has significantly increased since the last time I did one of these videos is the watch time and the average view duration, as well as the number of views. So it seems that the Typescript videos that I've been doing have been really popular, and I do want to expand on those as a result because it seems that you guys really like those. The other thing that has happened, I'm looking at the last 90 days here to start with, is the subscriber base has grown. So I believe at the time of recording, we're at about 730 subscribers roughly, which is quite a large increase since the last time I did one of these videos. So the next thing I want to take a look at is the top 10 videos. And as you can see, most of these videos in here are my game dev videos, specifically on the TypeScript WebGL series. So far and away, of course, the first one of the series is the most popular, and that makes the most sense because it is the introduction to the tutorial series. And so that one has the most watch time, the most hits, and so forth. Okay, so if I expand this a little bit, we can take a little bit of a little bit more detailed look here of the watch time on some of these videos. So the order of these videos is kind of interesting to me, and I guess I kind of expected this on some level. So it goes 1, 2, 3, and then 5 and 6, and then 4 is down here. And my Subaru video is actually still in this list, and that's in there primarily because it still does get a lot of views and a lot of people seem to like that, so I'm leaving that one in there. But the other one that is in here is 10 mistakes I made in game development, as well as pros and cons of writing a game engine. But most of everything else in here is the TypeScript game engine tutorial series. So I'm definitely going to continue that. It seems that it's really popular, and I'm glad to see that um, it is helping people out. So the next thing I want to take a quick look at really quickly is the subscriber base, which has kind of been all over the place. For the most part, it's been pretty positive growth. It's been a little bit linear growth, but growth is growth, so I'm happy with that. There's been a couple of there were a couple of things here, a couple of dips. I don't really quite understand what caused those yet. It might be just the fact that I haven't been posting as many videos lately. I'm not 100% sure. Uh, but if I had to guess, that's probably what it is. What I want to do is actually, let me go back a little bit further. So let me say last 365 days. So we can see here the initial, this is right about when I sort of relaunched the channel last year. And this has been the number of subscribers added since. And it was sort of bottomed out here, and then this is when I was doing the daily videos, right up until about here or so. And this is right around where I started the TypeScript tutorial series. And you can see here that there's a small line sort of starting to lift off here. So um, that's just kind of an interesting metric to me, and I wanted to kind of show you guys that. So anyway, so it looks like for some reason this count is off. It's about 730 or so right now. Subscribers gained is 770. Subscribers lost is 106. So I think this is overall this is pretty good. Obviously, some people might not like some of the content that I post or whatnot, but I think overall I'm okay with this growth. Anyway, I don't really want to spend too much time on that. Let me go back to watch time for a second, so we can just take a look at what that looks like over this last year. So again, here's where I relaunched the channel, and you can see that this is starting to sort of take off, which is kind of cool to see. I guess we could check out some demographics real quick. It looks like most of the base so far hasn't really changed. It's mostly guys. Uh, 25 to 34 years old seems to be the the biggest demographic, followed by 35 to 44 years old. And then 18 to 24 is the third largest. So I think this is kind of right in line with what I was expecting. This hasn't really changed too much, but it is kind of interesting to see. Okay, so one thing I'll check out real quick is likes and dislikes. So again, it sort of follows the whole pattern of the channel. And what we see here is by far and away, these two videos have the most likes out of all of them. It looks like pros and cons of writing a game engine. Um, 84%. I mean, most of the videos it seems that you guys like, so that's definitely a good thing. I haven't seen anything in here that really sticks out as not being liked. So seeing that helps me as far as trying to figure out what content works and what doesn't. Um, the likes and that you guys post on my videos definitely help me out because it lets me see what has a higher proportion of likes versus some of the videos that sort of fall flat. So um, I definitely appreciate that interaction from you guys. Comments are a little flat, to be completely honest. I would like to see somehow a little bit more growth in the comments and feedback, and to be able to start more discussions with the videos. Uh, so I'll have to figure out a way to do that. But as you guys can see, it's pretty flat. So anyway, I think that's really all I wanted to talk about as far as the channel goes. So let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to talk about is sort of the state of the game engine itself. So I did a postmortem of some of the things that I wanted to change in the game engine and some of the things that the game engine needs and so forth and so on. And what I've started to do is sort of restructure things in the actual game engine itself, as well as the games going with it. So one thing that I want to point out is the game engine. First of all, I have renamed to Namorph Tech. It's my last name backwards and then Tech. It was kind of a cool sounding name, I thought, so it's the name of the game engine that I'm going with. So anyways, yeah, the engine has been renamed, but the other thing that you'll notice is that there is a folder here called Stupid Duck. And what I've done is I've actually split out the game from the engine. So if we take a look at my GitHub, there is Namorph Tech. Namorph Tech has its own repository. This is the repository that was previously the Typescript game engine tutorial series. This has been renamed and sort of remade into the repository specifically for the game engine, and it gives you a little bit of background and detail on using this engine, as well as some of the things that I want to do. The other thing is there's a Stupid Duck repository, and this is an example of a game, and it tells you here how to what the requirements are, how to set this up. So basically, these projects have been split out so that the engine code can be used for more than one game, and the engine itself. So these have been split out in such a way where the engine code can be reused by more than one game, and as such, the game has now been completely split from the engine. In fact, you don't run this project anymore. You will run the actual game project. Uh, the other thing that I'd like to point out is the game engine itself is now a npm package that's usable. So it's just simply called Namorph Tech. The version currently published is 2.0.2. That is the version that Stupid Duck uses. Anything that is newer than that will not work with Stupid Duck because there are a lot of changes that are being made. But Stupid Duck specifically has a reference to that. So just to give you guys a quick idea of how this is set up. Let's see, that's the test game. Let me open this. Real quick, while I'm on that topic, you might have noticed that I've also switched to using Visual Studio Code. So if we take a look at Namorph Tech here, the Visual Studio solution and all that stuff is actually all gone. I'm going to go a little bit more into detail on this when all these changes are made, but I just kind of want to give you guys a little bit of a preview of what's coming. So Visual Studio Code is what we're using now to develop. We don't have to stick with this, and that's the reason that I actually switched to this, is because you could technically use any editor and compile from the command line just by simply typing an npm run build command, as you see here, and it will actually compile. So you don't have to use Visual Studio Code. You can use whatever editor you want, and you can just simply build by running this in the command line. Same holds true for the actual the Stupid Duck project itself. It also will run from the command line as well. Now, you notice here that I've got an error, and that's because I'm actually currently in the process of making engine changes, and this project isn't compatible with those changes. So that error will actually go away if I do that. Anyway, I'll explain all of that at a later time. Again, I just kind of wanted to open this up and show you guys what is in progress. The other thing that has been added, as you may have noted, is there is this NT test game, which is a sort of testbed type of project for our game engine. It's for use when we're developing new features. We can quickly just have this quick game project here that doesn't really have too much scaffolded in it, where we can stand things up and quickly test stuff before we put it in the engine. Again, I'll go over that later. So what I've started to address here is the layout of how all this stuff is organized is changing. And when this is finalized, I'll be making a video on all those changes. You'll notice that some of the naming has changed on some of these things, and I will be going over all of those things in detail. But the code is receiving a facelift, if you will. So one thing that I've gone through and done is I've commented most of the code base, except for the parts that are actually going to be removed. So most of these have full-blown comments that explain what all these functions do, what the classes themselves do, and all that. So I've been doing a lot of this sort of off camera because honestly, writing documentation comments is not something that is interesting to show in a video. So I've been doing a lot of work on this engine, trying to get some of these updates in for the next video, and I hope that this kind of gives you guys some insight into some of the things that I've been working on. Okay, so that's enough about that. There is one other thing that I wanted to bring up, and that is I've also been working on a separate engine. So one of the things that's great about using TypeScript to make an engine is the fact that it runs in a browser, it uses TypeScript, which transpiles into JavaScript and all that. That's great. But that's also one of the largest downfalls of it, because it also it's never going to be fast as fast as a C++ application. You can't multi-thread it. Yes, you can use web workers, and we'll probably do that at some point. But it's always going to be limited in terms of what you can do with it. It's never going to run as fast as something that is native, ever. You can get close, but feature completeness, there's limitations in WebGL. There are things that you can and can't do, things that only work on certain browsers. WebGL 2 will fix some of those things, but in the end, a natively written C++ engine is usually going to be faster if it's implemented correctly. And so I've actually been working on another engine sort of on the side at the same time just to try out some concepts of some things that I wanted to try in C++. And this is something that I've always sort of wanted to do is build a native engine from the ground up using C++. I've built a couple of small frameworks and built some games using C++, games which will never see the light of day, but um, all the same, I've never actually tried to build a full-scale engine in C++. So I wanted to tackle that and try out some things. And so I've actually uh, got an engine, as you can see, well underway here. It's got a lot of things already defined, already set up. Um, this is actually further along than the TypeScript engine, even though I've been working on it right around the same amount of time, just because I haven't been actually recording the progress with this one. So what I would like to know from you guys is there interest in a C++ engine? Is this something that you guys would like to see the development of? And what I'm thinking here, and I'm thinking this potentially for the TypeScript engine too, is to move away from the sort of tutorial mindset where I code everything on screen and edit it down and have these individually cut videos that get posted whenever I'm able to post them. So what I've been considering doing is switching the format a little bit. And I was thinking that this engine might be a way to do that. I could also do this with the TypeScript engine. But what I was thinking is instead of doing everything in sort of a tutorial format where I give really down low explanations of everything I'm doing and I code every single little thing on screen, that it would be more incremental updates. So I would show the occasional live stream or something like that where I'm adding a feature, but I might do other stuff in between and then do a video after that that would simply just give an update on what's happened in the engine. Because one thing that I have noticed is development has slowed down quite a lot when I have to not only plan out how I'm going to build these tutorials, but try the code out ahead of time and make sure that the direction that I'm going is going to work, and then edit the video down and then post it and all that. Whereas if I were to go this route, I don't have to think about those things as much. It would certainly expose some more of my thought process as well as some of the mistakes I make. But I think that's okay because I think that might be a better learning exercise than trying to do it in a tutorial type format. So I was thinking that it might be an interesting idea for me to work on this engine versus the TypeScript engine in that format, or maybe do them both in that format. But what I really want to gauge is from you guys, is there more interest in a TypeScript engine or a C++ engine? Because I have both right now, and the implementations of them are a little bit different between the two, and the architectures are different between the two. But obviously, I'm not going to be able to keep up with two engines indefinitely. So I really need to sort of go one direction or the other, and I would like to understand from you guys where the demand is and what you guys would like to see. So if you guys could do me a huge favor and leave a comment below and let me know what you think. Let me know if you would rather have a C++ project using this engine, or you would prefer me to keep developing on the Namortech engine in TypeScript. And let me know what you guys think. I'd love to get your feedback on this and on this video as a whole, everything I've presented. All right, so anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, consider subscribing, and I will catch you guys next time.